Good afternoon. I'm calling to order the Harlan Municipal Utilities Board of Trustees meeting dated Thursday, July 27th, 2023 at 4 p.m. Do we have an approval of the agenda?
So move.
Second,
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer aye.
Michelle, aye. Number 3.
Carol, aye.
Carol, aye. David, aye. Got it. Approval, number 3, approval of consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion with one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a request is made prior to the time the board votes on the motion. Consent agenda items may include non-controversial subjects. A, minutes of the July 13th, 2023 electronic board meeting. B, abstract of claims number 1240 in the amount of $735,131.63. C, upcoming board meetings, August 10th, 2023 electronic board meeting, August 24th, 2023 regular board meeting.
Make a motion to approve item number 3, the approval of the consent agenda for items A, B, and C.
Seconded.
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer aye.
Michelle, aye.
Carol, aye.
Number 4, resolution of 99-2023 authorizing competitive bids for electrical department office. Possible board action.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last meeting. This is just, I guess, final approval to send these plans and specs out to bid. We're looking at a bid date of August 17th, 2023, in time for your August 24th meeting to hopefully approve a low bidder, so we can move forward with that project. There again, that office is going to be built inside the truck bay. I guess just to save costs from actually, adding an external structure. I think we're giving them till, I have to verify for sure, but we're giving them till like the spring to actually finish it for a completion date. That way to make it more attractive to contractors to be able to work over the winter inside where it's heated, so. Intent is to try to get it out, several places, social media, on our website, as far as making contractors, local contractors aware that it's, they can come and pick up a set of plans.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer aye.
Michelle, aye.
Carol, aye.
Okay, number 5, P&E proposal for underground conversion and upgrade project 2023.
This is for the design of the final electric overhead to underground conversion project. And there is some other stuff we're taking care of, as far as smoke centric that we're eliminating throughout town. So this should get us, everything underground as far as the, not everything but the 69 line, but for everything else within the town.
That last area would generally be described as what?
The concentric's kind of north, help me out here, over north of the hospital.
Yep, those
In
3 blocks.
Those 3 blocks in there. Get that changed out. Only overhead we've got is the old farm line, and then some overhead down here on Industrial Ave, down here by Jacobs.
Yep, and then down by Conductives, that line that goes.
Oh, yes, yep.
How far west are you gonna go with the old farm line?
All the way to
To
the corner,
To where, to the terminating point?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Because our last customer is 400 feet from the final or ending point, so we will go all the way out to there.
Okay.
And that will help solve a lot of our outages that we've had over the last couple of years with all the trees and the broken pole we've had out there and stuff that we've had to replace and stuff like that.
And we've had issues with that old concentric too.
Yep,
Get that
burning up.
pulled out and pulled back into conduit.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess for both these items, for this and this one, this previous one and this one, these are all budgeted or in your CapEx plan, or are these additional?
Nope, these are both in the CapEx. The electric was budgeted for the 23-24, and as well as the proposal for the overhead to underground. We just weren't sure with the getting product. Might push it back into the following year
Okay.
for the electric plant, or the electric overhead to underground.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and in that system too, as far as I think it had it in their proposal, we're looking at trying to go out for material bid ahead of the actual construction bid, kind of like what we did on the well project. Try to get out there and get our material bid ahead of time, get that coming.
Okay. And then last question is, have we had the results from we did the 69 line assessment? And have we been given the results of that yet?
Yes. And the Harlan to Avoca, we have a couple of poles that need to be replaced, but not until fall, when the crops get out. And then we would tackle those.
Then rejuvenating that one underground portion there by the airport.
Yep.
Okay. But nothing catastrophic for, okay.
No.
And so it's not an urgent and compelling 69 line replacement?
No.
Okay, got it.
No.
Thanks. No further questions. So I make a motion to approve item number 5, the P&E proposal for underground conversion and upgrade project for 2023.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer, aye.
Michelle, aye.
Carol, I.
Item number 6, audit engagement letter with Gronwald, Bell, Kine, and Company PC.
Yeah, just an approval for our audit consultant that's been doing for the last few years to complete the 2022, 23, and 23, 24 audits. So they gave us a price just for 1 year, 2 year, but I guess our recommendation would be to approve them for 2 years.
Yeah, so is this is a requirement, annual requirement, right?
Correct. Anytime we got any federal funding, I believe.
And what's the cost avoidance of doing it for 2 years? Is there a 2 years deal? It doesn't look like it's just a...
Yeah, I think
Paying ahead.
they're jumping, 5 to 600, we're jumping 700 in that year. So it's kind of a consistent increase with them.
And is this shared across the utilities, this bill?
Correct. But I think they've done a good job for us. I mean,
Yeah, they've done what, the last 7, 8, 9
It's been a
years?
few, yeah.
Yeah, they've been with us quite a while now, haven't they?
So this is budgeted, it's in the budget, and it's a requirement?
correct.
Okay. Right, I make a motion to approve item number 7 for the, item number 6 for the annual audit. I recommend the 2-year approval.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer, aye.
Michelle, aye.
Carol, I.
And Donald, could you make sure that they are voting for a 2-year contract?
They did vote
They
for the
did.
2-year.
Okay, I couldn't hear that part, thank you.
Item number 7, Shelby County Chamber of Commerce and Industry annual funding request for fiscal year 2023 to 2024, payable in July of 2023 in the amount of $35,000.
And I know this number, I don't think has changed here over the last few years. This is budgeted number, or was budgeted.
And that's allocated across all the utilities.
Yes. Or correct me if I'm wrong, Jenny.
I couldn't understand what he said.
What was the question?
Just if it's across all utilities, that 35.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So one of the questions I have is just, to Todd is, as HMU strives to benefit from or have our customers benefit from other people's money relative to grant writing, what I see here is maybe moving forward, if the chamber is able to assist HMU, actually prove the value. You're of value to the community, but the value to HMU could be.
Well, yeah, the value to HMU comes through multiple sources. One, of course, is like if you look over the last few years, whether it's the Harlan Plaza, bringing in a bigger Baumgars, bringing in Bucksnort, bringing in the dental facility. We continue to look for partners who are looking to expand and add to Harlan. We've got 3 retail businesses that are currently going up right now. Housing, we're looking for partners to build additional, really entry-level, like first-time home buyer housing, as well as some multifamily dwelling units. That's what we're hearing right now is the area that we're lacking the most in. Mm-hmm. We're doing really well on getting the high-end residential areas built up, but it's those entry-level and those MFDUs that we're not doing well on now. In regards to grant writing, yes, we can support that, and I support it in a couple of different ways. One is, as an example, with the well field as we're doing, the initial introduction of CDBG grants for that came through our office to SWIPCO, because I'm on the board of SWIPCO. And I work with SWIPCO a lot on the types of grants that work for utilities. So whether they're sewer, water, those types of issues, most of that grant writing will be done by SWIPCO, but I'll bring their offices in to get that done.
Yeah, so maybe that would be a better value proposition than what this is, specific to the utility. So there has got to be, in my opinion, as it relates to representing the interests of the customers, there's got to be a return on investment that relates right back to what we're supposed to be doing, which is providing utility support. So
Yeah. So through Harlan Industrial Foundation, through HMU, both of those supports of my office lean much heavier to the economic development side of the office rather than to the Chamber of Commerce side of the office.
Okay.
Forgive me if I say this wrong, but didn't we, HMU, at one time actually have board members or people on an advisory council with the chamber?
There were representatives on our chamber board that were also on your board.
Is that how that worked?
When I first came here, Dave, Terrell was on my board for a long time. And be more than happy to welcome another member, on our board. Our board is set up, the only sitting seat that we have that's a standing seat is for the Shelby County Board of Supervisors. So just whoever within that group gets assigned to the chamber, they sit on our board. The rest of the board is just made up of, to be honest with you, people who are interested in being on the board, volunteers. And then if I had, like this past year, I had 1 seat open, I had 1 person who expressed an interest. So there was really no reason to go to the membership for a vote. But if I have more interested individuals and I have seats open, then I go to the membership and they vote on who they want on the board.
And just trying to get up to speed, do we currently have a dedicated representative on the chamber?
Well, what has been happening is Joe comes to our meetings.
Okay.
Every time we have one, and it's been that way forever. Gene comes to our meetings and provide input to us and hear what we're discussing in the meetings.
Okay.
But it's not an actual sitting board member.
That was just more to bring me up to speed, as long as we've got a liaison going there with that.
Yeah, he comes when,
Sure.
there's a couple times when our schedule and his schedule doesn't match up. Most of the time, he's at every board meeting we have.
Yeah, so it's budgeted. Yep. And it's the exact same amount as last year.
Correct.
It's been this amount now for, Jenny, I believe it's 4 or 5 years we've been on this amount.
That's correct.
Yeah, so obviously ROI is there tangentially, and then maybe whether it's you helping us to get to SWIPCO, to get the grants, that would be a specific ask for this year's HMU payment to the Shelby County.
Yeah, no,
Chamber of
that's
Commerce.
fine. What I need is I just need an idea of what's in your comprehensive plan, what you're looking to get done.
Okay.
So I can then figure out what, because not everything has a grant available to it, but most everything does.
Yep.
So.
Got it. All right. So I move to approve item number 7, our payment to Shelby County Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the amount of $35,000.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer, aye.
Michelle, aye.
Thank you.
Carol, I.
Item number 8, Flycone Tower Maintenance Contract Proposal from Utility Services Company in the amount of $11,865.
This is a contract to power wash the Cyclone Tower, just to kind of remove the staining on the underside, just to keep that cleaned up.
And we don't have anyone here that can power wash it.
No.
Special safety equipment that is
Yeah.
involved with all that
Safety, okay.
stuff, yeah. And obviously, this was put into place before we went into a water watch and will not be done until after we are
I was just
out of
gonna-
a water watch.
Okay.
Did we just get one bid on this, or is that?
That is the company that does the maintenance tower contracts that we have with them. Unfortunately, this is not in the maintenance contracts.
Is this regularly scheduled?
No, it's not. It's done every so often when we need it. Last time we power washed it, we had a fungicide spray applied to the bottom that prolonged this from having to be done again so quickly. And it gave us, I think, about another 2 years on it, so,
It's been 4 or 5 years since that was painted?
yes.
That's what I was thinking. So it's about time for this, isn't it?
Yeah, and then also after the power washing occurs, they will, if there's any delamination that comes, part of the contract, they will come back and paint that at no cost to us, because there's some going on at the base of the tower.
Okay.
So how does that work? That is a HMU asset, right?
Correct,
But it has a community logo on it?
correct.
Who paid for the logo to go on there when we painted it?
We did a long time ago.
I was gonna say, I can answer that one.
Yeah.
Now, if it was just freshened up here too, right, when they did?
Correct.
Yeah.
We don't actually outright pay for the tower to be painted. Every so often, we have an annual fee with the SUAS or the utility service comes, and they come and paint it every so often or when it needs it. So it's not like we're going out for a $700,000 bids to blast to paint a tower. They do that as part of the annual maintenance.
So when is the next painting expected?
They try to get 10 years out of it. So this year, if we do the power washing and then we have the delamination, there'll be a touch-up that occurs on it. And then if it's been that 4 or 5 year mark, we're probably looking at 5 years before it'll be painted.
Okay, so it's not like we're gonna clean it and then paint it, right? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, just touch up at this point.
Yep, it's just touch-up.
I'll make the motion to approve that if we're ready for it.
Yep, I second that motion.
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer, aye.
Michelle, aye.
Carol, I.
Is it Krita? Krita?
Krita.
Item number 9, Krita contract quote for repairs for RO unit number 2 in the amount of $3,950.
This Krita is the company that now owns Tonka Water, and Tonka Water was the company that supplied the equipment, the filtration equipment for the new water plant. The issue that we're having is that the main pump on that RO unit number 2, it keeps ramping up and down, as it runs. So we're trying to get to the bottom of that. Work with HOA, who's our integrator. They tried resolving it, so we have to go back to the original, supplier to try to get that figured out as far as how to correct it.
The original manufacturer of the equipment. Yeah. We tried replacing a water meter, it was not the issue. They refunded the money for buying the water meter, and we are unable to currently run that second RO train. So we need to get that up and running as so we can have that redundancy.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the line item number 9, the Carita contract quote for $3,950.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer, aye.
Michelle, aye.
Darrell, I.
Item number 10, water policy number 3, use of fire hydrants.
Yeah, this is something we sat down actually with Gene and Roger some time back and just kind of updated that policy just to make sure that it states who can operate the fire hydrants and when they can be used. So it was just kind of to clarify some language in that policy.
Yeah, so I think we brought this up last time we had this discussion. What is not present in this is who is responsible for conducting the training. It talks about trained and authorized. It says that the fire chief is authorized to tell us who is authorized to use it, but anybody outside of them, how do they get trained?
The fire chief is responsible for training the firefighters, and us, the water department is responsible for training the streets, sanitation, and, am I forgetting anybody? Parks.
So an HMU person will be,
Be the one.
will be there to do this.
To train them. Once we train them, a lot of the times when we do anything, it's with a fire hydrant meter set, which doesn't actually involve operation of the fire hydrant. But some, I do believe sanitation truck is one that they will use a fire hydrant on in a specific area designated by us, obviously when we're not in a water wash. But we go train them how to operate, slowly open, slowly close, so we don't create a water hammer and have a break like we did.
Right.
That hurts us. That's
But I
what
want to
this was
make sure we don't
address.
have that.
Yeah, I understand the process. What's reflected in this memo doesn't reflect that. And it goes back to this paragraph where it says, we talked about this, why a 7-day requirement? The 7-day requirement was to be able to arrange training, but it just doesn't say who does the training. Not for the fire departments, but those that are outside of the fire department. So ultimately, training is
Up to us.
it's up to you. You
Correct.
train the fire department to train their own people, but you train everybody else. That's my only comment, is that that is omitted from this policy as written, so.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's fine. It just needs to delineate that the 7 days is so the water HMU personnel can properly train all those that are not identified above on the use of fire hydrants.
Is that something then, Jim, you want us to bring back around? Or would you make the motion contingent on adding that?
Yeah, that's my opinion. I would make a motion to, with the addition of training responsibility, I make a motion to approve this policy. And no further board action required.
Okay.
That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Jim, can you have Phil just send us the wording he wants in that policy?
Yes, I will ask him.
Yeah, because we obviously didn't get it right after the conversation.
I will second Jim's motion.
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer, aye.
Michelle, aye.
Darrell, I.
Item number 11, resolution number 26, 2023. Rename resolution number 62, 2023 due to scrivener's error?
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was either. I had to look it up.
So basically, this was, resolution number was transposed, 2662.
Was transferred, okay.
Yep, so resolution number 62 is the gas rate modification. So this is just, I guess, renaming.
I'm just asking a resolution to change a typo.
Correct.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer, aye.
Michelle, aye.
Darrell, I.
Number 12, Resolution 2623, water rate modification.
Yes, according to our latest water cash flow from John Burmeister, the recommendation was, in that cash flow analysis, was to add a water well fee, similar to the water plant fee that we currently have. It would be a fee that would sunset with the end of the funding loan. So the $688 that we have on the treatment plant funding, that'll sunset in July of 2032. So that $690 will come off. But we are proposing, or $688, sorry, $688 is that. So we went with $690 on this water well, I guess, just so it's not the same exact number. But we're looking at $690 per month per customer for the water well project, or the raw water project that we're building right now. Same thing, that will sunset with the end of that funding.
And what, you don't have a through date?
It's gonna be a 40-year loan, which will start once the project is accepted, completed and accepted.
40-year long, I won't even be alive then.
Yeah, so this is where we talked about a little bit earlier. So this is a annual fee or a monthly fee that lasts for 40 years, right? So, and I think the customers need to understand what this investment will do for them as it relates to water security.
Correct.
Throughout. What's the so what of this investment? What's the so what?
Is to gain additional capacity. We're looking at the hope that we'll get about 200 gallon a minute out of 4 new wells, which basically then we'll end up with 800 gallon a minute. We need about 800, what do we need to run the other half of the?
850.
About 850 to run the other half, or the other skid of our RO unit, so that, we're striving to get up to where we can get capacity, where we can run both those skids if we have a big water user that would come to town. Not only will help us with downtime on the plant, you know, if we get more coming to the plant right now, like I said, we went in water watch because we're running about 24 hours a day for the last, I don't know, week.
Yeah, since July 18th.
We get these other wells online, at least that the plant will be able to shut down for a number of hours and be back up and running. But then in the future, if we have a bigger water user, we will have that additional capacity with this new project.
Also, this is to reduce, hopefully hold rates down, and also build up, to be able to continue replacing the wells that have not been replaced. Because again, we can't just stop here. We have to continue replacing the wells, and that is what this fund is to help cover.
Okay, so is it a fair statement to say this cost borne over the tenure of the loan will help, or will potentially help almost double the capacity of water production in Harlan?
Water production, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's
I just
Yeah,
don't
that's the
split
end
it
goal.
here, but production or acquisition?
Production.
Production, okay.
Because right now, we could only produce roughly 600, the trains are designed for 660-ish gallons a minute. We can only run one train. Once we have the additional capacity, then we can run both trains at the same time. We can produce, what is it,
1320.
Or 13, there you go, 1320 gallons per minute, which will allow us to run substantially less and produce more water if needed.
okay. Yeah, I think that's why does the customer care that they're paying $6.90 in perpetuity for 40 years? It's the double water production. Okay.
Over time, if we vote on this today, can this be increased 20 years down the road? Can it be changed? Or are we locked in?
Oh, I don't know if we're locked in, I mean.
I don't know that any of us will be sitting here
Right.
20 years from now,
But
but
like Donald mentioned, I mean, down the road, John also had in that cash flow analysis that, not in '24, but in '25, '26, and '27, there was also gonna be a slight increase figured in that. This 690 softened that. I mean, we went from probably a 10 to 12% increase each of those years to about, I think, 6.5. I think he had figured in there for those 4 years.
Yeah, I think the future holds, nobody can predict the pricing of the future, right? But capacity is going to be the currency of the future, is if you don't have the capacity, you're,
I agree.
Right.
I just, in today's world, with what we're seeing with drought right now and everything else, if we don't have the capacity, nothing else matters.
Will something go out in a little newsletter to the bill, on the bills, advising so that they know that it's,
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
to give
there's a
notice.
publication
Yeah, it won't be
and
implemented right away.
okay,
Yeah, there will be we'll do a separate mailing, just like we did the last time we had a rate increase, Michelle,
okay,
because we have to give customers a 30-day notice.
okay, good. Okay,
yeah, I'll make the motion to approve item number 12, the resolution 26-2023 water rate modification.
You want to put a date on there? We need a sunset date on there, don't we?
We won't know the exact date until the final completion of the project, because that's when the loan will kick in. Right
So
now,
we're hoping the project, Doug, will be done,
So technically,
fall of '24, so technically we'd be 40 years from
that date.
that date, whatever
Yeah.
that ends up being.
Yeah, I don't want to lock us in by putting a date, if that makes sense.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if we're, are we gonna have to come back and change this again once we have a date?
Jenny?
No, because no, we don't have to come back and change it. We actually just added that in there for our own records, so it doesn't get forgotten to take off bills in that month and that year.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't have to have a date in there, all right,
No,
Okay.
we don't have to approve it again or have another meeting about it.
good news. So you
I've moved.
motioned,
Yeah,
right?
motion.
Oh, second that.
roll call,
Shelton, aye?
Hammer eye.
Michelle, aye.
Darrell, aye.
Okay, item number 13, general policy number 5, installation of services. This will rescind general policy number 6, 15, 16, 17, 20, 39, and any other policies regarding installation charges.
There again, this policy will replace those multiple policies, as far as for the installations, just to try to clarify, I guess, so we know different situations, what we need to do, how we need to charge. But basically, we're gonna be focusing just on the time and material cost for any new, replaced services. And I know, Doug, you had a question as far as a couple of those policies, but I know in this policy.
I have a concern about rescinding some of those that are specific to subdivisions and infill. I didn't quite see the direct correlation and why those should be rescinded.
I guess there's just there again on clarification, I mean, to make it just, I guess, a set policy, you know, so we have one policy for all installations. And we do add in there, any exceptions to this policy must be approved by the Board of Trustees, so anything that's kind of out of that framework, kind of like this, what were some examples?
Yeah.
The die street.
No,
Yeah, the dice roll.
and I agree with the efficiency and on those, but a couple of those that were like, developers had to submit a map approved by the city council. I didn't see how that one should be rescinded by this particular policy. That was my only concern, is some of those weren't actually related to the cost of install or allocating the cost over that. But like 15, 16, 17, which is infill subdivisions, and another one, I didn't see the direct correlation between the policies.
Yeah, I guess good point. What, does this reconcile with what the city's processes are as it relates to if there were things that were done in the past that were pseudo-joint?
That's my only reservation.
What was that question?
As long as we don't make changes that adversely or have a secondary effect on some city policy as it relates to diagram submission or something to that effect, that'd be the only.
I think kind of what we discussed when we were going over these is that on those bigger projects, we would like to start just having some sort of a written agreement between all parties so that everybody knows who's responsible for what.
Because we did run into that, I believe, in Dye Street where it was kind of a lot of gray area and.
Right. I guess the key is we've made it easier for everyone to understand, and we just need to make sure we're making it easy for everybody to do business with us.
Sure.
Meaning with the city. In other words, it shouldn't be, hey, it's gotta go to a board, and the board doesn't meet for 30 days, and so that would be my only question. Has the city had a chance to review this change and make sure it doesn't conflict? That's my only question.
And I was trying to pull this back up. Not able to access it here right now. Yeah. My understanding is this would impact all projects going forward, or
Correct.
installations going forward.
Correct.
And there's nothing that conflicts with that.
Okay.
And I would offer that for communication and I think it's gotten better to the end user on the new projects and I think simplifying, what I do recall seeing, simplifying them on one policy of HMU, I think will be a better customer experience for new projects.
Are you trying to pull this up? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I looked at it yesterday, so.
Yep, got it.
I was trying to refresh my.
Yeah, and again, I'm totally supportive of doing this in the process. I'm just concerned that a couple of these policies in there don't directly relate to this and may hurt us in the future. I mean, they were enacted for a reason, you know, like again, requiring maps, or there was a couple of those. The infill one could be modified for this policy, because I think there's a length limitation on the infill service. So if that one could be, I think that one's 15, but 16 and or 17 actually refer to requesting maps from the developer. I wasn't quite sure how that related, why that policy would be rescinded by this one. I want to consolidate, I want to do that, but I'm just concerned that we might be cutting off our nose to spite our face on a couple of those.
We'll have an end around look at it again, I guess, Doug, or?
You know, again, I'm not going to hang it up just for that. I'm a little concerned that we're rescinding policies we shouldn't rescind.
So I think what we're attempting, and I agree, that we just need to make sure what happened before, and Jenny was very astutely pointing this out, is we had processes and pricing brought together. And this is pricing. If there is a need to address process, I would suggest that is not
Right.
thrown out. It just needs to go back, and maybe those policies that are in place that address process may need to have a similar process, or similar process done to them, where it's like, hey, so we don't have any gaps. So, but if this is pricing,
I'd like to see us pass this today, contingent on review and possible modifications of the policies.
As far as the rescinded
Rescinding of those
numbers.
policies,
Right.
with the possibility of not including all of those policies. Because I do think we need to be more efficient, I do think it needs to be consolidated. Some of those are out of date, they do need to be brought up to speed. I just think there's a couple in there that aren't directly applicable to this issue.
Because we don't want another Die Street fiasco.
No, it was actually the project that here's where that's good. We took a beating on that one.
So what policies are you in agreement with that can't be rescinded?
I think 6 off the top of my head, 20 and 39. I think 15, 16, and 17 were the ones related to infill, maps from the developer, and I think the other one had to do with subdivisions.
Okay, let's go ahead. If you guys can just, if you want to approve it, contingent upon reviewing 15, 16, and 17.
All right, then that's how I'd like to phrase the motion.
yeah, so what I would offer is, this is general policy number 5. I think if we change it to just be installation pricing as the title of this, then I think we can pass this without having to make it contingent on all of this. I think we just simply say this is general policy number 5, pricing installations. And then if there are things in here that are not pricing specific, it could be all of them for all I know, then we're reviewing it for.
Right.
We're just doing pricing.
Yeah, but Jim, in the policy itself, it states that we're going to rescind all of those, so that's why we need to
Okay,
look
Yeah,
at
and-
if you guys don't agree with those 3.
yeah,
And again, off the top of my head, I think the ones,
On the second page of the policy, the last paragraph, it has all those listed right in there.
Again, I think, again, off the top of my head, 6, 20, and 39 were all applicable. 15, 16, and 17 were the ones I had questions about. So again, my motion is contingent on rescinding 6, 20, and 39 with the review of 15, 16, 17, to see if they're still applicable.
Okay.
Do I have a motion, a second?
Yeah, that's my motion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
Sheldon, aye.
Hammer, aye.
Michelle, aye.
Darrell, I.
And David will have to sign all of these tomorrow, so I'll be able to make the change on the policy name.
Number 14 is treasurer's report.
Yep. I think Kurt had submitted a couple there, one for May and one for June.
Yeah, we've got to have we need to have a holistic rate discussion.
I guess any questions on that?
Yeah, so I just would ask that maybe the finance committee has a discussion about projections.
Yep.
These are great as it relates to where we're at, but
Where
we
we're
should be
headed.
making
Right.
decisions on where we're headed, so.
Okay, so we're up. Number 15.
Okay.
We're up to Joe.
I have a few items here. As you know, contractor started on that raw water project last Wednesday. Making good progress. Probably as of today, they probably got 1,300 feet of water main completed or in the ground. So like I said, things are going well there, I think. Donald and I had 2 meetings with the city on HomeServe. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. HomeServe is a program for residential customers to pay a monthly fee to cover expenses to repair or replace their sewer service, water service, or even the inside plumbing in their house. City is in favor of the program, and it looks like they'll be probably taking it to the council for a vote. And then if HMU would like to partner with the city, then we would need to probably bring that to the board in their August meeting. And we could get you more information in the meantime, but some of the down and dirty, and Gene can help me out on this too. Basically, it would be the city or the utility wouldn't really have to do anything. The billing kind of all goes through this HomeServe. They send out letters to each individual customer through the city, and then that customer could sign up for the program. It's, if I'm wrong, $9.99 for inside plumbing, $5.79 for your sewer service, and $7.75, I think, or no,
$7.75 water, $5.75 for water.
yeah, and $7.75 for the sewer, I think it was, yeah. That's a per monthly fee that they would pay to HomeServe. And then if there is a need to replace those services or any inside plumbing, on the water side, they will pay up to $3,000. On the sewer, they'll pay up to $8,500. And I think the plumbing was $5,000, correct? Am I getting those numbers?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Is this a commercial entity? Why are we even talking about this?
Is this to help offset if something happens?
Correct.
So that the...
It's like an insurance policy.
Insurance policy, so
for
that-
residents.
The resident doesn't have to pay $20,000 to replace their...
Yeah, but we are not endorsing, nor are we, should we or the city be endorsing a commercial entity, whether it's an insurance agent or something, and part of this board meeting. So I would suggest it's great information, however, we're not here to sell HomeServe or to broadcast their capabilities or their rates.
Okay.
Unless there's something in which they're gonna do something that causes us to reduce our rates to our customers, adjust our services to their customers, or something to that effect. This is kind of slippery, in my opinion, slippery slope, because this is a private company, right?
So if I might, Joe, or
Yep.
Chairperson.
I know you talked more with this individual.
Well, they, through our Iowa League of Cities, so the National League of Cities, this is specifically on the city side, yet as a publicly owned utility, we partner on so many things. Some cities, water, sewer, other services are under the city. Obviously, we've got public utility. Winterset is the most recent example that mirrors us in our setup, is a community that's doing this. There are close to 120 communities in Iowa that are now doing this. And so to your point, Jim, it is the marketing, customer service administration is all done. It's not HMU or the city getting involved in that. They're simply asking us the opportunity to go out and say, the city and HMU encourage you to look at this. And they'll have our logos if HMU would choose to participate, to encourage them to look into this. It's totally optional. We see on the sewer side and maybe in the future on the water side as well, that what the customer responsibility is and what the risk is from where where the city's line ends. So on the sewer mains, it's pretty clear. So from that sewer main, no matter if it's in the middle of the street or in the right of way, from that point all the way inside to the wall of their house, that's the risk they have with roots, some old plate breakages. A lot of people don't, we find that a lot of customers don't understand that. So even through the education process, we think that would help. So they're simply, it is a private company, and the reason we're looking at it is because National League of Cities, the Iowa League, and 120 other Iowa communities do make this available to the residents. So, but I also acknowledge your concern in terms of, are we really supporting and saying you got to do this, or we're recommending to our council because we think it's good information and education for at least customers on the sewer side.
And on the water side, Jim, I mean, it would only, at this point, there would probably only be 5% of our water customers that even be eligible for this, since we do maintain from the main all the way to the meter inside the basement. We do have about 5% that have meter pits somewhere around probably the property line. So those homeowners do own or have to maintain from the meter pit into their house.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, I don't doubt that it's a value. I think it's just a matter of, we just, I got it. If some other city is doing it, great. I just want to make sure we're not, for all I know, we're taking business away from some local insurance company. This may be a line of business. So I would just say that, got it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I mean, if you, go ahead.
Brent Sheeby from the agency, who obviously the right coverage for both the city and HMU, Brent attended the presentation as well. Just from an insurance, he deals with both commercial and residential. And part of this is that, again, customers may not even recognize what their own personal insurance, and many times your personal insurance doesn't provide this coverage unless you have a specific endorsement. And
so maybe that's the endorsement, is that the city is endorsing this organization to come in and share information, not advocating that customers go out and procure this service. Okay.
Yeah, correct. I guess it's just to allow them to approach the residents, to give them that option.
I mean, how much would it cost to replace a line?
It varies on length and size as far as for a water service.
I mean, that 8,500 for the sewer would probably cover a lot of it, but there's some that'll be over that. So, that's just something, I mean, we can get some more information to the board and see what your thoughts are. So. Next. We got 3 new CSRs that started work on Tuesday of this week. Genesis Garcia will be working on the utility side, and also to note that she is bilingual.
Oh, good.
Which I thought was a plus.
That's awesome.
And then we have Christina Slater and Kathy Gear are our new telecom CSRs. And they all 3 started, like I said, Tuesday. So things, trying to get them trained and everything this week, so gradually working them into it.
Are they gonna do like a cross-training?
Yes, I think they've been kind of working that way too, Michelle. You know, trying to get people cross-trained, so if somebody is gone, they can at least keep things going.
Okay.
And they do kind of cover each other during lunches, the way it is too, you know? There's always gonna be, when we're fully staffed like that, there's always hope that we got, you know, one from each, one from telecom, one from utility there at all times, and then they switch for lunches. So they gotta kind of work both ways, you know?
Okay, good.
Good news here too, we had a Teams meeting today, this morning, that we are now qualified for the BABA waiver, the Buy America, Build America, which we weren't before. So what that means for us, we just got to get some information to USDA, and potentially that would then eliminate our inter-utility loan, to where we'd be able to go and USDA would provide additional funding for that overage on the project.
Okay.
And we're looking at a 2.125% interest on that additional funding.
Could you repeat that?
2.125, where we're getting 2 on the initial 5.364 million. So this additional funding would be at then 2.125, as compared to the inter-utility loan. We were looking at making that the same as our interim financing, which was 4.34. So there's, you know, about half, you know, better than half the interest rate if we can go through the USDA. So there was kind of in that waiver, there was kind of I guess there was some gray area. And the more they looked at it, they thought that we fell into that because there was a certain cutoff on a date. We did not meet that, so they said we weren't eligible. But they went back and looked and thought that the bulk of our project was started prior to that date, so they're gonna allow us to utilize that waiver now. So that's a big plus, I think,
Oh, yeah.
as far as savings on interest. 3 more things here. Trevor Harrison completed his grade 2 certification for water treatment. Dalton Fredericks completed his electrical module B. So those guys are moving up in their training education. And then lastly, I have one anniversary for July. Stephen Gessert, 24 years.
Oh, good.
And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Shelton, aye.
Hammer, aye.
Michelle, aye.